Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're doing a video on getting shippers from trade shows. So for the brokers out there that want to learn how to network a little bit better, maybe get in deep into some industry expert customers and stuff like that, one area that I highly recommend is going to trade shows. Why, you may ask? Because trade shows typically have a lot of people in one specific industry, all concentrated in one area. It's a very good place to network, to rub shoulders, and to gain more insight on the freight that you may be hauling. So trade shows, like I said, that's probably their biggest value is, in a sense, just being able to network and rub shoulders with people that you haven't met before, but that you want to kind of get in with. So let's say you go to a trade show where it's just a bunch of companies that manufacture steel coils or whatever, steel rolls of steel. Something like that is primarily going to be all flatbed freight. Let's say you have one or two customers that are, you move flatbed freight for, and it's all steel coils. You would go to a trade show like that, you'd network, go from booth to booth, meet people, shake hands, get to know them, throw them your pitch.
I mailed in my company a postcard a few weeks back requesting information on penny stocks that had huge upside potential with very little downside risk. Does that ring a bell?
And get their business card, and then you kind of move on to the next person. And then after you go to trade shows in that industry for a couple of years, people start to remember your company name. They start to remember who you are, and your presence just becomes a lot stronger and a lot more solidified as a salesperson, as a logistics person in that industry. So it's very, very valuable for not just upfront high quality leads, but long-term customer relationship building. So it's a very, very good thing. Preparing for a trade show, what do you do? Whether it's, it's somewhere local or you're flying out, a lot of times for trade shows, you're going to have to go over the road, maybe fly to another state, 'cause, they're just all over. For example, we have a trade show we're going to in January, and it's out on the East Coast, and we're in California. So it's going to be quite a trip for us. We're going to be out there for 4 days. And in the meantime, what are we doing? We're preparing. So what do? Typically, trade shows will have a website that promotes the trade show itself. One thing I always recommend is you go through, and 99% of the time they'll have an exhibitor list, which basically is a list that shows who's going to be exhibiting or having a booth at that trade show. What we typically like to do is we go through the entire exhibitor list. We look at who's a qualified company that we could see us working with. We primarily move high value cargo, so that's kind of what I focus on. I will go through the exhibitor list and I'll look up the company on Google Maps. I try to see, okay, are they a bigger size company? What size company are they? Do they have floating docks? Do they have any trucker reviews on the Google for their loading times, stuff like that? Good insight. And then I try to go on their website, kind of see what products they primarily sell or what their services are. And then based off of that type of information, I will either add it to like a spreadsheet or notate it down with any other notes like contact information, or I won't. And let's say trade shows typically have anywhere from 250 all the way up to 1,000 exhibitors. I'll go through all of them and do that. And typically about, let's say, for example, out of 1,000 exhibitors, maybe 25 to 40% of the exhibitors on there are going to be exhibitors that are that are going to be qualified enough for you to go after them. Because remember, you're only there for a couple of days. It's a limited amount of time. You want to spend that limited time that you have doing what's most valuable, which is talking to the right people and not wasting time talking to people that are too cheap or don't have enough freight or have their own trucks. So again, that's why it's important to do your due diligence. It's the important word right there beforehand, and kind of just focus on doing that. That way, when you get to the trade show, you hit the ground running. You already know what you're doing. So what we typically do is we'll build a spreadsheet. I have it on Google Sheets. And then when I get to the trade show, I just open it up on my phone and I just go by one. I have all the booth numbers written down, and I'll say, okay, XYZ company, they're the first on my list. Go to their website real quick, look at any notes that I may have from whenever I did my research on them. And then I approach them, try to speak with whatever rep is there, get to know a little bit about them, and then just throw my pitch.
You mailed in my company a postcard a few weeks back.
Hey, my name is Stan. I'm a freight broker. We do a lot of work in this specific industry, and I'd love to offer you guys our services. Do you know if there's an opportunity to grow a partnership with you guys? A lot of times they'll let you know right away, hey, we're good right now. We don't have any freight. We have all of our own trucks. So you qualify them right away. It's okay if they say no. Again, depending on how many exhibitors your trade show has, it's going to be different for everybody. As I mentioned in the last video, what are the two things that shippers look for in a broker or any customer looks for in their sales rep? It's number one, do they like you? And number two, do they find you competent enough to want to give you their business? Depending on how many leads you have on your list that you're trying to tackle and how much time you have at a trade show, I recommend staying there for at least 2-3 days and just getting that full experience in. You know, it's tough. It's grinding work. You walk on a trade show floor for 4 hours and you're going to be gassed. After the trade show, whether it's a week, a month, or 2 months, or 6 months, you know, that's when you implement the follow-up process with phone calls and emails. What I will say though is trade shows, meeting a client or prospect in person and turning them into a client is about 10 times easier than it is to do it over the phone. So cold calling, while it is the easiest and most biggest net you can cast, trade shows is like the sniper. You go, but you got to make sure to follow up, and close the lead into a customer after the trade show. That's probably one of the most important things, because at a trade show, you'll get a bunch of cards. You know, you have a stack of cards. You're feeling like, oh man, I'm gonna get so much business. You're freaking you're Mr. Big Baller here, thinking you got your stack of dough you can just stick to your pocket and run off. But the reality is, it's not that way. You gotta turn this stack of cards into actual accounts. So out of this stack, let's say out of 1,000 people, you do your due diligence and you narrow that down to 250 people. And out of those 250 people that you talk to at the trade show, you narrow that down into 50 qualified prospects. Out of those 50 qualified prospects, you may get 5 accounts, maybe just 1, maybe 10, but usually it's a small number. So you're doing a lot of work for a very few number of accounts. But remember, guys, it only takes one good account to 10x or 3x your brokerage portfolio in 1 year. So last of all, guys, any extra material you can get from trade shows, go ahead and grab that. If it's like directories, or stop by and grab someone's card that you couldn't talk to. Trade shows are a great place, and they have been a great place for people in industries to get to know one another, to sell, and to, you know, create great business partnerships. And it's worked for me. I've been in the business for about 4 years, and it's worked for a lot of other people. So I highly recommend you guys get out there. Right now is a terrible time in the freight market. Everybody's scared. They don't know what's going to happen. But you know what? Scared money don't make money. So get out there, get to those trade shows, do your due diligence. It's extremely important. Know who you're talking with, qualify your leads well, and close the accounts afterwards. I can't emphasize that enough. Also, if you're a freight broker and you need a really good freight tracking software, please sign up for loadbase.com. It's mine and Tyler's baby. We've been building it for 2.5 years. I think it's perfect, honestly. But if you guys have any feedback, you can reach out to me at stan@loadbase.com. What do they call this? Shameless plug. I'm going to plug it. You know what I mean? I put my heart and soul into it. I'm going to plug my own software. So if you're a freight broker and you need good freight tracking software, loadbase.com. You have any criticism, any good ideas that you have for us, please reach out to me or Tyler. Loadbase Technologies, baby.
Load-based freight tracking.
Load-based freight tracking, baby, on Instagram. You can hit us up and DM us. Eddie here posts a bunch of funny memes, so you can follow us too. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. See you in the next one.